Well, hello neighbors, John, your whiskey neighbor here. And today I want to talk to you about Evan Williams Kentucky Straight Bourbon, but in particular, a single barrel pick. This is the 2009, or put in oak in 2009, Evan Williams single barrel. I'm in a beautiful location. Actually, I'm at a conference in Banff. I've had great meetings all day. We're heading into the evening. And as I do whenever I go to a new town or a new location, I check out what stores have in stock or on promotion. And I haven't done enough research on Evan Williams single barrel, but you know, I'm aware of it. I've read about it, and I know on distiller.com, which is my quick go-to, it has an astronomical rating, but I think it changes year over year, so you have to be careful with that, right? So what I'm looking at today, and this was on sale, so I picked it up. This is my first thoughts. It's my first pour. It's my first drink. So take that into consideration. It's not really a full review. It takes a lot more time to get the layers of a good drink, but it is some quick thoughts. So this bottle is a single barrel. It's 43.3% alcohol, and I think that'll vary slightly with depending on the barrel. What's really neat here is on the back, I like just a little bit more information, whether that's actually handwritten or a handwritten font. It tells you, it's barreled in July 30th in 2009. So, well, that's pretty cool. It's one day away from my birthday. And it's barrel number 657. And then they took it out of the barrel and they bottled it in May 1st, 2017. So I guess it would have been July 2017. That'd be 8 years. So it's actually under 8 years, and I thought it would be over 8 years. Because I know when they first started doing this, it was always a 10-year-old bourbon. And now I think it's right around the 8-year mark, but it obviously will vary depending on the bottle. So Evan Williams, single barrel. They started picking these out in '83. It was another Beam Master Distiller. The name has evaporated from my head. As I said, it's been a long day, and it's something I read previously. But they pick them every year, and they're generally a good deal. I'm going to talk about price at the end. I need to put this somewhere. All right. If I didn't say, I'm in a hotel room. I don't have my usual setup. I have taken a pair of headphones and I've twist-tied my phone to a lamppost. Makes a great tripod. So I don't have a Glencairn either, which is too bad because, using a glass where that's more tulip-shaped will always bring more. It'll concentrate the aromas coming off, and it'll bring it up into your nose better than a glass like this. But what you get in an open glass like this is really the dominant aromas, and actually one of the aromas that dissipates almost quickest is a high ethanol. So if there is an ethanol, I'm not going to catch it very much, and I'm not catching it much on this. So instead, this nose to me is nice and sweet and floral. Yep, a little bit high in sugars. Oh, almost a little bit fruity. My go-to fruit in bourbon lately is cherry, but this isn't a deep red cherry, hitting into that plumish, raisinish. No, we're not there. This is like a candied cherry, like a maraschino type fruit. So maybe that's more tropical fruit or a tropical fruit cup, something like that. If I dig on the edges, I can get a little bit of ethanol, and that makes sense. It's an alcohol product. It's not terribly old, but nice color. I imagine it's the original color. I don't see why they would add anything. In new oak like that, you're going to pull out that kind of coloring. Yeah, well, but the nose is approachable. It actually made my mouth water a little bit there. So, it's a delicious type nose. It's something that's intriguing and not terribly complex, not layered. There's no smoke. There's no char. But yeah, fruity. Okay, that last sip put me off just a little bit. Last nose. Let me give it a taste. Well, that sip was a little shallow. I'm getting again kind of fruit sweetness, maybe honey sweetness, some vanilla. Let me take another one before I get to the finish. Yeah. Okay. So a little more candy sweetness, some toffee, but not heavy burnt caramels, not deep coated things, more lighter, fruity. A little bit of nut in there. An easy nut, peanuts maybe, something common. Oak definitely comes back on the finish, which is nice. No, I'm still, fruit is actually quite quick in the nose, but I was catching a little more wood there. Now my mouth, actually it's kind of drying and it's picked up a little bit, which is kind of nice. I like a little bit of spice and I'm getting that now on the palate. And it's drying, which makes me always want to have another sip, which I like in a whiskey. So overall the experience is pretty good. It's not very complex. I'd love to get a little deeper wood notes. Yeah, but light, fruity, sweet, vanilla. Not bad. A little bit of nut. I don't know the mash bill here. I imagine the mash bill for this type of bourbon. Evan Williams is, Fellows, of course, started his own distillery a long time ago, but now it's part of the Heaven Hill group. And I imagine the mash bill is going to be a fairly typical bourbon, especially with the flavor profile I'm getting now. I'm going to think high corn, so 70 to 80% corn, probably low rye. I'm going to guess 10% rye. It feels lower rye than the last bourbon I had. And then whatever my math is, the balance in barley. I can look that up. I'll put it in the clip when I cut it. But so thoughts. I don't want to give it a star rating. Given my context, long day, first whiskey, I'm actually liking it quite a bit, so I'd probably give it a star rating that's too high. But I will say, for the money that I hear you can get this in the US, this is probably a great first bourbon or a bourbon that's easy to share with friends because it's just not going to break the bank. Of course, here it's more expensive than it should be. It's jumped. These single barrels are sitting around $50 Canadian, which might be a little too high for this bourbon. But given that almost all bourbons have shot up to around that price range, it's still okay. But I got this for a great steal for about $34. And at that price range, it really is quite a bit better than a lot of the entrance to mid-level bourbons, at least in first thoughts. So I don't want to give it a star rating, but I will say, neighbors, that I would pick up a bottle. This is the one that was put in oak in 2009. The bottle or barrel, specifically was 657, and I like it. I haven't put off by strange notes or high alcohols. Instead, it's got a lot of notes that I like. If I was just making up my own bourbon, I would say I'd like a little deeper sugars or caramelized or char or something to give it that extra layer of depth. This is pretty light and pretty sweet, but that probably appeals to a lot of people. Anyways, thanks for joining me here in my hotel room. I've got more work to do tonight. Actually, the next part starts just after the next keynote. So you guys, thanks again for joining me. Maybe consider, if you like bourbon and you haven't had it, Evan Williams single barrels. I think they represent a solid value. Cheers.